Hello, and welcome to this packed video screencast. In this section, you will be presented with the querySelector method found in the Dart HTML library to access elements in the browser. Once these elements are accessed, you will be shown how to manipulate those elements by calling methods on them, and how to add and remove elements to and from the DOM dynamically. In this video, we will learn how to access, modify, and add new elements to the DOM using Dart. Specifically, we are going to cover the querySelector method provided by Dart's HTML library, using CSS tags to select specific elements, storing elements in variables, and using methods on those variables to interact with the elements. In the previous video, we learned how to set up our Dart programming environment and wrote the basic HTML and CSS for our game board. To get started, we need some way to access the individual elements laid out in our document. To access our elements, Dart gives us two accessor functions called querySelector and querySelectorAll. Both of these methods take in a CSS selector tag as a string. The querySelector method will return the first element it finds matching the selector, whereas the querySelectorAll method will return all of the matching elements in an element list object. Let's try it out. First, we are going to import the Dart HTML library so we have access to these methods. Next, we will need a main method which will serve as the entry point to our program. Since we only have a single document, we can just use the top-level querySelector method. This saves us the added keystrokes of having to write document.querySelector. Let's select the game board element using the board ID CSS selector. Notice here that I use the var data type. The var data type can hold anything, and its actual value is deduced at runtime. I could be more specific if I want, and instead use the element type, or even more specifically the div element type. All three will work fine here. It is my personal preference to use the var type when assigning a simple variable, and a more specific type when I'm writing functions. Now that I have my element, I can see its attributes and adjust it as I see fit. If I want to know the width of my game board, I can use the getComputedStyle method, which returns a read-only CSS style declaration object. Then I can access the width property and print it to the console. Okay, let's go ahead and run this code. If we open the console in Dartium by selecting Inspect Element, we can see that it shows a width of 800 pixels, which exactly matches the value specified in our CSS. Now we know how to select elements from the DOM and access their properties using the querySelector method. We will be making heavy use of this method going forward. In our next video, we will expand on this and modify our element once we have selected it. Thank you for watching.